All right. So if you have a credit card debt of 25,000, are you automatically disqualified? I think we talked about this a little bit, but Reed, you threw out the 15,000 number. Do you want
Mhm.
to answer this a little bit better?
So, not automatically disqualified, but they will dig into your personal finances. And it's a spectrum, right? It's very holistic. So, if you're making $500,000, $25,000 of debt is a drop in the bucket. If you make $30,000 a year and you have $25,000 of unsecured debt, that is significant. That's nearly your entire yearly salary at that point. It's all circumstantial. As long as you're open and honest and can explain where the debt came from, or if you have some kind of plan, you can still move through that process, but you don't know until you get there.
That is a great point. As I said, I used to be a Navy officer and I worked a lot with folks as they were coming in, if their clearance was coming up for renewal or if they were trying to get their initial clearance. And we've had several folks who had a large amount of debt. I had one person who had their clearance. Every 5 years, your clearance gets renewed and you go through this process again. Usually the renewal is fairly easy. In his case, they flagged him for additional scrutiny because they pulled his credit report and found that he had like 40 or $50,000 in debt. The person was making about 50,000 a year. And when they pulled it, they go, "Oh, we're looking at pulling your clearance." And I sat down with them and said, "Look, what we need to do is we need to figure out what your plan is to get out of this debt." And we looked at why did he have this debt? While he was on deployment in the Navy, his wife decided to leave him. But before she did, she went and bought a new car, a new house, furnished the new house, and she had a power of attorney. So she did it all in his name. So when they got divorced, she got all the stuff and he got all the debt. So he got screwed. It is what it is. But what we had to do was basically he wrote a letter to the adjudicators and said, "Look, I understand I've got this $45,000 of debt. Here's my plan to get it paid off in the next 5 years. I'm going to spend this amount of money per month. This is my order. This is my income." And he had a very detailed plan. It was like a 3 or 4 page letter. And he sent that off. And within about 2 weeks, they said, "We agree with you. You've got it under control." And they gave him his clearance again. Because basically they said, "Look, if you take away his clearance, he's going to lose his job and he's not going to be able to pay this debt back." And they realized he had it under control. And that's really what they're looking for. Is this something that's outside of things, or is this something that is in your control? This is why drugs and alcohol are considered a flag, right? If you get a DUI, they will look at your security clearance and say, "This person has a drinking problem. Do we want to trust them with our secret?" If you're going home at night and having a beer, no one cares. If you're going home at night and you're having 12 beers every night, and when they start talking to your family and friends, they go, "Yeah, Jason's a drunk, man. He's going home and he's drinking a fifth of vodka every night, right?" They're probably not going to want to give me a security clearance, right? Because that is something that you can't control. Oh, another thing, if you use marijuana, I know in some states it's recreational, some states it is medical. I live in Florida, here it's medical. I used to live in Puerto Rico, down there it was medical. I'm going to California this week, there it's recreational. You can go there and smoke a joint, not a problem. But when it comes time for your clearance, remember, weed is still considered federally illegal. And on your security form, it's going to say, "Do you use drugs?" And they're going to do a drug test. And if you say, "No, I don't," and you pop positive on the drug test, guess what? You're not getting a clearance, right? If you say, "Yes, I did, and I did it twice in college," or whatever it was, they have a thing called a waiver. You put in your waiver and say, "Yes, I know I did it. Yes, I understand it was illegal. It was one time," and off it goes. If you're doing it every night, you're going to have to get clean before you apply for your clearance because they will drug test you and they will ask. And if you're a medical person, they're going to be able to see that in the records because you have a medical license for it, right? But that's still not federally looked at. And so that will be something that can affect your clearance too, because drugs and alcohol are two flags that we have in the clearance system.